AI ROI, Show Me the Math, Episode 9. Let's dive in. A quick reflection before we go deeper. I'm not going to be the layoffs report. None of those. Saying that though, those episodes reach over 100,000 people. But quite frankly, that is not why I'm building this community. This is a tight enterprise AI community. That's my mission. And the intent is real problems, real examples, and practical playbooks any CFO, any AI transformation leader can actually use so we can all grow together. But this week, the layoffs are confirming the pattern. They're not noise, they are actual signals. So let's dive in, because today we use them as a blueprint, not a headline. In the last 6 weeks, 3 large companies have shown us the same move. It's actually more than those, but let's just focus on the top 3. Cisco announced nearly 4,000 job cuts in an AI-focused restructuring. Pretty recent news. The market rewarded it with roughly a 20% move on the stock. Oracle terminated approximately 30,000 employees on March 31st, about 18% of its global workforce, essentially to fund a $50 billion annual capex pivot tied to its OpenAI Stargate contract. And obviously, more recently, and actually a couple of those, Meta started cutting 8,000 jobs. May 20th, another 7,000 reassigned into new AI teams with new titles: AI Builder, AI Pod Lead, AI Org Lead, 2026 CapEx guidance up to $145 billion, more than double last year. 3 companies, 3 months, the same move. Reduce headcount. Free up cash, put it into AI infrastructure and AI native workflows. And Wall Street is rewarding it. Here is what most coverage is missing. This is not just a hyperscaler story. I don't believe so. The exact same math applies to mid-sized companies and even to small ones. I have literally seen this with my own eyes, running multiple projects and then pilots here at Olakai. The blueprint scales down, and it's about to land on a CFO's desk near you. So let's run the math. That's what this show is all about. Take an average company, not a hyperscaler, not Meta, a real software business with 100 developers. Today, that team spends about $20,000 to $25,000 a month on AI coding agent licenses, some Anthropic Max plans, some Codex, some Mix. Some developers max their plans out, some do not. On average, the company lands in that range. The number is supported by Anthropic's own admission. The head of growth has said on record that subscription plans were charging less than the book value of tokens consumed by a factor of 10 or more. Customers were getting subsidized compute heavily. I talked about it exactly a week ago. Now, July 1st, 2026. Enterprise plans move into pure usage-based pricing. I'm not saying in general for everyone, but let's just use this for this example. For a lot of organizations, the transition is already underway. Same workload, the same 100 developers, writing the same volume of code, no change in behavior, and gets meted against true token cost right now. Best case, that $25,000 bill becomes $100,000. Realistic case, $150,000 if you push your limits. 4 to 6 times the spend, and that is before anyone tries to write more code. But hold on, we're not stopping at 50 to 60% AI written code, said the CTO or the CEO of anyone responsible for winning an AI on that business. The target is 70 to 90% in the next 12 months, so we have to accelerate. Together, we need more tokens, more agentic workflows, more experimentation, and more speed. So tack on another 50 to 60% in consumption to fund the transformation. Now the bill is closer to $200,000 a month. $200,000 a month for 100 developers. That is $2.4 million a year, up from $300,000, an 8 times increase. That's the real problem. So put yourself in the CFO's chair. Who is walking into the executive committee and asking for an 8 times budget increase to hit the AI transformation goals everyone agreed to in January? Who approves it? What is the business case? And the question almost no one can answer today, who is actually counting how many pull requests, how many AI written lines of code are making it to production? Which developers are the winners? Which ones are driving the change? Which ones are the laggards? If you cannot answer those questions, you cannot justify the budget. You cannot defend the spend. You cannot deliver the transformation. You might be out. And this is the part that fascinates me personally. The CFO's office used to focus on cost control. It is about to spend the next 4 quarters doing strategic forecasting, decision-making, and growth planning the function was never trained for. This is the modern CFO role being rewritten in real time. This is where the layoffs come back into the story. I promise not to talk about it, but here we go. That's not as news. This is the blueprint I mentioned before. Run the same math the hyperscalers run. Again, 100 developers at loaded cost of roughly $200,000 a year is a $20 million payroll. Cut 10%, that is $2 million freed. $2 million is almost exactly the delta from the 8 times math we just walked through, which means a 10% restructuring, the floor of what Meta and Cisco and Oracle just executed, sponsors the entire AI transformation at 800 developer scale. Cut 20% and you fund the transformation plus margin. Investors and boards will reward it. Because it is the same trade Wall Street is already pricing in for the hyperscalers. Reduce human payroll, reinvest in AI, build a multi-year payback against the new operating model, win 3 to 5 times in the long run. That's the thesis. And this is the math behind the news. And it is brewing in every company that ships software for a living. More or less. But here's the final part nobody is putting on the slide. None of this works if you cannot measure it. You cannot defend an 8 times budget increase without proof of where the value is being created. You cannot decide which developers to retain and which roles to restructure if you cannot see who is actually shipping AI written code to production. You cannot run the Meta playbook, smaller teams, flatter orgs, AI native pods if you have no telemetry on which pods are converting tokens into shipped output. And the CFO and the AI transformation leader are not going to win this on instinct. They are going to win this on data. This is exactly what we are building Coding IQ for inside Olakai-ai, the module that measures engineer and developer ROI. Which pull requests reach production, which projects return more than they consume, where tokens are being burned with no return at all. What is your actual ROI? And just a reminder, under fixed price licensing, those questions were optimal. Under usage-based pricing, with an 8 times budget on the line, they are entire business case. So, this is Episode 9 of Show Me the Math, and a direct continuation of the CFO thread from the past 2 episodes. Next time, we will go deeper on the operating model side, what Flutter AI native pods actually look like, and how the smarter CFOs are sequencing the transformation without breaking the business. If you're working on this in your own organization, shoot me the DM. I'm very open, happy to sit down and run your specific math and I have no expectations, well, I actually want to help. That's my expectation for myself. And this is the math. See you on the other side. Cheers, guys.